This video is sponsored by Cyber Fast Track, a platform to help accelerate the path to cybersecurity for college students. Receive hands-on practice through their platform, CyberStart, and win scholarships for world-class training. Learn more about my thoughts on Cyber Fast Track in a few moments. All right, the short answer is, of course, you aren't qualified and experienced enough, but that's overly simple. Let me explain. There are a multitude of reasons why getting an entry-level job is so hard in cybersecurity, and it really comes down to what I just said, experience. All right, so is there a such thing as an entry-level job in cybersecurity? And it comes down to, it depends on who you ask. You go onto LinkedIn, and some people will say, nope, they don't exist. You shouldn't have entry-level cybersecurity jobs. You need 5 years experience in IT to even consider getting into cybersecurity, whereas some will advocate that you should curate and develop the associates to get into entry-level cybersecurity jobs by training them and helping them out throughout their career. It just depends on who you ask, and some people are very strong about the opinions on whether that's even an entry-level position to consider. Now, it all comes down to one key attribute, like I just said in the beginning of the video, experience. If you have experience, you're going to be basically fast-tracking yourself through this whole entire conversation. Of course, we all know the good old age debate of, well, if you don't have experience and you're trying to get experience, but employers are looking for entry-level jobs who already have experience, how do you get that experience? And, well, yeah, that's just a really annoying thing, but it is true. You have to take a look at both sides of the spectrum, both as a student or a candidate, and you have to take a look at the recruiter's perspective. Take a look at the cybersecurity skills gap within the last 5 years. You can see that there has yet to be a stagnation in job openings. What stands in the way of these job openings are a multitude of factors, including the lack of professional expertise, low compensation, barrier to entry, burnout, and simple supply and demand numbers. If you are willing to take part in waging this gap as an entry-level candidate, why is it that you can't even get an opportunity in your hands and ready to go? Well, let's take a look at perspectives here for a moment. Let's first start with the recruiter's perspective. This is something that actually has been enlightened within me within the last, few months here. All right, so to start with the recruiter's perspective, I'm going to be using a simple example. There's a company out there, Dibuda Company, or the Dibuda Store, which is a merchandising company. Now, let's just say that, this corporation has an IT team, and their security team consists of 5 total members. The recruiter, alongside the security manager, is going to work together to create a list of requirements and responsibilities to post this job out on job search engine websites. 1 week later, there are hundreds of applications submitted. As you look through each of these resumes, you have to be mindful of the security team's time. They're already pressed for, doing their daily responsibilities in addition to trying to parse through or filter each of these candidates' resumes. Then you have to think about, okay, well, that's first round, but then you have to actually go and pre-screen these candidates, make sure that they can, communicate to some extent, and then they have to go through second round interviews and third round interviews and think about how each of those candidates is going to take, say, an hour of the security manager's time, and you have 15 candidates. Well, that's a lot of time dedicated to just finding an entry-level candidate. So in a team of 5, it's much more easier for a security manager to simply focus on the candidates that have experience in Splunk or in Python, and to just filter out any and all people who don't have any formal corporate or enterprise experience with cybersecurity. But then if we switch back to, of course, an entry-level cybersecurity student, college graduate, whatever it is that you're trying to get into, and you're on the 48th application and you're getting no responses, and it's so frustrating because, you thought that there was a skill shortage gap and that you're going to be able to be in high demand. Well, you have to take a look at the realistic dynamic. Now, oftentimes, it's not because you aren't necessarily capable of showing your potential or working and being developed in a entry-level position. It's just the sheer number of volume of candidates that apply online. You're applying against hundreds upon thousands of candidates for one position. So that's really, really competitive. We go back to the drawing board. Maybe as students, we try to go get a master's degree or we get XYZ certification. We try to work on this side project, but, of course, that's just not helping. because we have 0 years experience in IT or cybersecurity. How do we combat this cycle? As a recruiter, you got to think about finding candidates that show potential. As a cybersecurity student, you have to show your potential. And of course, this is pretty easy stuff to be aware of. I want to take a quick moment to talk about Cyber Fast Track, today's sponsor for the video. Now, Cyber Fast Track is an all-in-one platform for cybersecurity students like you and I who are going through university study. You start out with their platform, CyberStart, which is a fun, hands-on platform where you go through different scenarios pertaining to anything security related. You learn both offensive and defensive security skills, learning anything from binary to programming. In addition, there is the field manual page, which is used to help bolster your hands-on training through Linux, cloud computing, networking, and much more. Now, throughout your studies, you can have the opportunity to win scholarships, and this is awesome. You can win scholarships for world-class training, such as the SANS Institute courses through the National Cyber Scholarship Foundation. Not only that, but you are learning while you're going throughout your studies here. And finally, you help receive connections and guidance through career development and gain opportunities to develop your career so that you can land your first entry-level career or internship opportunity. Cyber Fast Track is actually a really cool platform, and it's really something that I do wish that I had when I started my studies at university or even in high school. Check out the Cyber Fast Track and CyberStart platform using the link in the description below. Okay, now back to the video. Okay, so what are some strategies that you can use as an entry-level candidate? Well, first off, think of perspective, right? You have to keep this in mind while moving forward, both on a recruitment side and on your side. First, and the biggest strategy, this is what got me my job currently as a associate security engineer, and that is networking, and not in a computer network way, although that's very important. It's the people you know. If you're able to build connections through meetups, conferences, clubs, that is by far the easiest way to get a job in cybersecurity, because people are willing to take on somebody who they already know and who they know will work hard or will show their potential in a job. As the saying goes, your net worth is your network, and that's a very good saying. So stay involved. Go to meetups, go to clubs, and go to conferences if you're able to. And stay involved in a Discord server or Slack or anything online too. It's also a good strategy to use. Okay, so in addition to your building your network, another big thing and factor for me was showing my potential. And that is something you have to do as an entry-level candidate. To make yourself stand out, you can't rely on a college degree or even a certification such as the Security Plus to do all the talking. You have to be willing to put in the extra effort. Now, how can you do this? Go on to GitHub and start contributing to open source. Start a blog. Build your home lab and document it. Those are just some ideas, but really it comes down to showing your potential. And that can be through a certification and a college degree, but it has to be more than that. You know, if you want to show your potential, people are willing to invest in people who are willing to take the time to do that type of stuff. If you do find yourself applying to jobs online, and that's going to be 99% of us, of course, one strategy that you can use, and this can just be a little bit more helpful, is apply to the jobs which have your keywords or your responsibilities in mind. So for instance, if you have some Python, Bash scripting experience, and you've worked with Wireshark and Nessus vulnerability scanner, go to the hundreds of entry-level jobs. Take a look at the ones that have those keywords, because oftentimes recruiters are going to come in, they're going to look for the keyword research, and they're going to filter out any of them that don't have a specified number of keywords. So always adapt your resume to the particular job posting. Now, that's a warning, not to say go out and completely lie about everything. That is a terrible idea, because your resume is only as good as how you sell yourself in the interview. It's talking points is what I'm saying. Ultimately, there isn't one right answer. Sometimes it comes down to luck. Sometimes it just comes down to being at the right place at the right time. Other times it's consistently using those strategies. But if you use some of the strategies that I've just used to your advantage, the odds are going to start switching in your favor rather than You being a candidate that goes out and applies to hundreds of jobs and hopes, just crosses your fingers that all of those jobs or some of them get back with you. It probably is not going to happen, and it could, but yeah. Ultimately, this is a really, really key thing. Rejection does not reflect your value. I got rejected for several internships back, not that long ago. And I was really discouraged. Internship, like you should be able to get an internship like that. You can show off your projects and stuff. Well, I got rejected, and it doesn't really matter. Rejection is not a reflection of your character. It sometimes is just not the right fit. So hopefully this video has broadened your perspective on entry-level jobs. They're not easy to get, and it's not a one-size-fit-all strategy. I was inspired by a recent conversation with a cybersecurity manager who was looking for some entry-level candidates and talked about how hard it was from a recruiter's perspective to give entry-level candidates or people with no experience a position or a platform to talk. And also a big thank you for Cyber Fast Track for sponsoring today's video. Go check them out. It's actually a really cool list of resources for college students like ourselves to get an entry-level position in cybersecurity. Yep, until the next video, have a good day, and hopefully you're doing well.